Hi, in this video we are going to talk about information gathering techniques, how we are going to collect information about risk potentials and about risk management and about different requirements for risk management process. Number one here, usually interview. Interviews usually is number one to collect data. There are many types of interviewing. It could be kind of person to person, face to face interview, could be phone call, could be kind of emails, could be kind of using the social sites over the internet in order to get some data. It could be a regular mail, for example, maybe it is not used at the time being. But however, any type of the interviews that we are talking about could be a good method to collect information and collect data about the potentials of risks and how can we manage those risks and how about the different experiences for similar risks encountered in similar projects and so on. Another way, number two, that we have here is root cause identification. If we have a common risk from previous experience or from previous projects, what was the cause for that? What were the causes for those risks we got or the issues that we got in previous projects? So we have to identify and analyze the reasons, the root causes for those problems or challenges happened in the previous experiences we got. Why do we need to find the root cause? Usually it is easier to find solution, to find mitigation for the impact of the risk or for the issue or for the problem that we got. If we know the root cause, we can handle that. We can find different proposals or different scenarios to handle the issue or to prevent the issue or to mitigate the issue that we are talking about. That's why we usually looking for the root cause or causes for the risk or the issue that we are talking about. One of the most important methodology to gather information, brainstorming. Brainstorming, as most of us know, it is about having a meeting, and that meeting includes the people who are interested in the issue that we are talking about. If we are talking about risk, it is the people who are experienced in the risk management. If you are talking about development, so we have to get stakeholders interested in the development and so on. So it is a meeting. Usually in a brainstorming meeting, we focus on developing new ideas. Based on developing new ideas and mixing developed ideas, we can generate more new ideas and so on. And then we have to analyze those collected ideas and find which one is the best or which ideas are the best and so on. Delphi technique is similar to brainstorming. The main difference we have in Delphi technique from brainstorming that in Delphi technique we don't have a physical meeting. So those people could be in different cities, in different countries, in different locations, but they have to collect the different ideas, new ideas or new concepts, and there is a coordinator, and that coordinator is the one who is responsible to correct and gather all the ideas and then forward them back to the people to generate a new cycle of ideas and so on until he is the coordinator. He is satisfied with the data that it is the best that we can generate out of those experts or out of those stakeholders. Those are some of the methodologies or techniques to gather information, but there are also other methods could be used based on the project type, based on the project size, based on the technology being used, and so on. This is one of the analysis that we can use to find which risk might evolve in the project or which issue might evolve or which a challenge may evolve in the project, which is cause and effect diagram. It is sometimes called fishbone diagrams. That's why it looks like a fish. Sometimes it is called Ishikawa diagram based on Ishikawa, the Japanese expert who developed this diagram, the first to develop this diagram in the form of a fish or fish bone. Simply, we have a problem or challenge or risk, for example, that what we have in this screen, the delay of the project. And we have some reasons, like reasons related to scope, reasons related to productivity, reasons related to labor, reasons related to fund, reasons related to materials, reasons related to management issues, and so on. So by grouping the reasons that we have that have the impact on the delay of the project or have the impact on the duration of the delay in the project, so we can find the causes of those reasons. And then, as we mentioned, for the root cause analysis, it is simply we can analyze those reasons, and based on that, we can find how to mitigate the impact, how can we prevent the impact of that delay, and so on. So this is a good illustration actually for different reasons that might be having the impact on the delay of the project. Flowchart is another method to analyze the reasons that we have of the project and find which area in this flowchart, in the process chart, might be the cause of the risk or the cause of the problems that we might face in the project during the execution of the project. This is just a simple flowchart showing the concept. Organization assets leads to project planning, leads to auditing, leads to quality control, leads to verification. The same side or in another branch, we can go for corrective action if we have any issue with the quality control, and so on. So this is kind of flow chart showing the quality control process or the simple process we have in a project or in a component of the project. How can we draw a process chart or flow chart or idea chart and find out which risk could be in one of those areas in the project planning or the auditing or the control. Usually we have challenges in the control and verification. Most of the challenges usually in the projects are in the quality assurance phase with the auditing or the quality control phase when we are checking if the product is achieving the expectations of the stakeholders and the project or not. Another similar diagram, influence diagram, it is similar to flowchart, but in this case we are not talking about the task, we are talking about the influence. That's why there is no sequence in the items that we are talking about, but there's kind of influence relationship between the different cells or items. Like market demand has influence on product strategy. Product strategy has impact on customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction has impact on market demand. And product verification has impact on customer satisfaction as well, and so on. So this is simply to illustrate what is meant by influence diagram. Also, there is another diagram that could be used in this case, which is function diagram. And that one is usually being used in value engineering processes when we have to find what are the relations between the different functions. Another method which is very important and very beneficial actually whenever we are talking about risk identification and business analysis and risk management, risk identifications, is SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is simply the abbreviation of strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. Those are the four parts of the SWOT analysis that we are talking about. When we are talking about strength, we are talking the internal strength items for the team or the company that we are talking about. If we are talking about opportunity, we are talking about the strength, but from external point of view. So it is not from the control of the company or the managing team. It is kind of external chances that we have to exploit. On the other side, we have weaknesses. The weaknesses are part from the internal management or the internal organization attributes. But threat actually is an external, or those are external threats that we might be impacted from other sides or from outside organizations or industry or market or economy and so on. So we have internal strength and external strength. We have internal weakness and we have external weaknesses as well. So actually, whenever we are talking about threats, that's external weakness. Whenever we are talking about opportunity, that's external strength. If we are talking about weakness, it is kind of internal threat. If we are talking about strength, that's kind of internal opportunity that we have to consider. Let's assume that we are talking about the skilled labor that we have in the company. The skilled labor might be internal strength if we have plenty of them, if we have skilled labor. If we don't have skilled labor enough for the projects, so that's kind of weakness point. The same if we are talking about demanding market. The demanding market, if it is a good opportunity, there is a demand, so that's an opportunity. If there is no demand, that's threat. Competition is kind of external issue. If there is no competition, that's an opportunity. If there is a lot of competitions, that's a threat, and so on. For sure, on the other side, we have the expertise always required. If we are talking about SWOT analysis, we are talking about Delft technique, we are talking about flowchart, we are talking about process chart. Whatever we are talking about, expertise is very important. And we need the expert's judgment whenever we are talking about risk, whenever we are talking about planning, whenever we are talking about anything else in project as well. Now we have identified the potential risks based on collecting data, collecting information from the previous methods that we discussed and other methods that we can collect from previous documentation, from previous experiences that we have in the project, experiences from the team working with us. Now we can develop our risk register. This is the first version of the risk register. We will develop that register more and more as we are going with proceeding with the risk management process. For example, that's just an example. We have different tasks on the left column that we have here. So these are the column of the tasks or potential risks we might get. And what are the causes for that? If we have problem with the design, is it kind of conflict between different trades we have in the design process? What are the risks? The risk might be errors that leads to rework in the design process. And if we cannot control that in the design phase, in this case, we have to rework that during the execution phase. Based on that, we have to consider that risk very well from the very beginning. The effect of that, there's kind of delay. The delay might be if the design could be corrected in the design phase, the delay will be a little bit smaller. If the design could not be corrected in the design phase and we have to correct that by making some rehabilitation or some rework during the execution phase, in this case, the delay will be more longer. The same for procurement processes, single supplier, that could be a cause. We have to find multiple suppliers. In this case, the delivery, we might have some challenges with that. That might have kind of delay for the duration of the project, and we might encounter some increase in the cost. Handing out almost the same process, executing. Usually we have most of the challenges in the executing phase. We have many sorts of technical problems, and we have difficulties with the rework, many tasks to be reworked out, and that have a big impact on the duration and the cost of the project as well. The same for verification, but maybe as big, not as big as that in the execution process. Verification, if we don't have conformance, complying with the expectation, complying with the specs of the different items, we have to make some reworks. We have to do some corrective action. That corrective actions might have impact on the cost or time or quality or the scope of the work as well. So the most important item we have to consider out of this screen or out of this slide, we have to consider we have started constructing the risk register. We have some potential causes, we have some risks, we have some impacts, and that is the base for the risk register that we have to consider. And this is simply this, we have to stop here regarding collecting information about different potential risks we have in the project. Thank you.